Good evening and welcome to Socrates Garrett Live. We're broadcasting live from right here in Jackson, Mississippi, an African-American owned and operated broadcasting studio. Now we are a network, we believe digital network. We're a little bit different than most podcasters that operate a page. And the difference between a page, a YouTube page, and a network is the quality of the content and the diversity of the content that you are able to view. So if you take a look at our network on YouTube, you will find some of the most interesting subject matters that you ever wanted to view. We try to talk about things as it relates to sports, entertainment, religion, and of course, politics. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, then share this program with your friends, and then also subscribe. If you're watching us on Facebook, we want you to send us stars and naturally share the program with your friends and family. Go over to Instagram and enjoy the clips there that we have on Instagram. And of course, they're designed to pique your interest and your curiosity, and hopefully you'll come back to the platform and watch the entire video. So we'll have reels, and we have shorts on YouTube, and we have reels on Facebook. So all of those clips are out there for you to enjoy. Here lately, we're beginning to do a little more experimenting with TikTok, and we'll get to X in just a moment. But on TikTok, I have two shows out there now that absolutely me speaking from my heart about the times and the conditions that were existing when I was a boy. And so our very first video that we put out there was only 3 minutes long, less than 3 minutes long. And quite frankly, it talked about the times during the Emmett Till murder and assassination, and where he was brutally killed and dumped into the river because he allegedly whistled at a white woman. Now, you know, we understand that that kind of information and that kind of history, there are those of you out there that want to know what happened when you go home and you talk to your elders. You want always them to tell me how it was. Tell me what y'all did as a boy. Tell me how the schools were. Tell me where you went to church. And then on every retreat, on every homecoming that you have, there is a day set aside to visit the cemetery. In the cemetery is where you find all of the history. Now, you're not going to get black history in black schools. CRT is banned in the state of Mississippi, so you can't teach black history. Now, you know, the interesting thing about that, it was banned even though it wasn't being taught in the first place. So our governor and our government, which includes all of the legislature in this House and the Senate at the state level, decided that it would not be appropriate to teach black history in Mississippi. What a shame. What a shame. Because it's that diversity, it is that history that is going to pull us from the depths of the dungeon that we're in. The moment that we learn how to celebrate our diversity and appreciate one another, we'll find ourselves rising. We'll find ourselves moving out of last position in every major category that's beneficial and first in every major category that's bad. The only way we're going to get out of this hole is to reverse what put us in the hole. And what put us in here was bigotry, racism, slavery, and just meanness and hatred. The only way we're going to get out of there then is reverse those very conditions. We got to become a more loving society. We got to become a more inclusive society. We got to do all of those things in an abundance greater than what was done when we got ourselves into this situation. And remember now, I'm not talking about a race. I'm now talking about a state. I'm talking about all of the people in the state. I'm not talking about black folk. I'm talking about all Mississippians, whether you are black, red, white, yellow. It does not matter. If you're in Mississippi, you're on the bottom. You're residing in a state that's on the bottom. And so all of us now have to join together and try to change this trajectory. One thing about, recovering, when you talk to people that are struggling with drug addiction, many times they'll tell you that you can't help someone until they bottom out, until they hit rock bottom. And then they began to look at their situation and look at themselves carefully. And now you have their attention, and the healing process can begin. The restructuring can begin. You see, in Mississippi, we've hit rock bottom long time ago. We've hit rock bottom, and we remained there long enough for it to have set in for everybody in Mississippi to know and understand that we got to make a change. We got to become a more loving state. We got to become a more inclusive state. We got to become a more fairer state. We got to share the economics in our state. And until we do that, we're hopelessly locked on the bottom. Now, we're going to take a station break, and we're going to come back and continue this dialogue. Our sponsors are tremendously important to us. Earth Blend Coffee is one of our sponsors. SGE is one of our sponsors. We need you to support our sponsors. We're going to talk about Cash App, and we're going to talk about PayPal, and we're going to talk about the many ways that you can donate to help us grow and build this into a major network that's owned and operated by black folk. But I'll deal with that when we come back. Let's stay tuned. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Socrates Garrett ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.Dot grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, paint protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Welcome back to Socrates Garrett Live. We're broadcasting live from right here in Jackson, Mississippi. Mississippi, my home state. Mississippi, a place where I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can to make this place better. Before the break, I was talking about the history and how when we have family reunions that we go to the cemeteries. And when we go to the cemetery, we can see the history, whether it's taught in school or not, if we take our children there. And that's why I don't do family reunions in cities other than Mississippi. Because, our ancestors all originated here in the state of Mississippi. So if I'm going to have a family reunion, I want to teach the children about their history. I want to take the time to say, this is your great, 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 great granddaddy and your great, great, great grandmother. And this is where they lived, and this is how they worked, and this is how they struggle in order for you to get where you are today. These things are tremendously important for you to know. And sometimes I have fun with them. I said, many of you don't know why you act the way you do, why you're so crazy and things of that nature. And so I am going to spend some time telling you about your family, your history, the roads that they travel, etc. When I think about my great granddaddy, unfortunately, I never got to know him personally. And my grandfather doesn't talk about him much at all either during my childhood. And my father didn't talk about him much either. So I really don't know much about my great grandfather. Now, what I do know about him is that he was a Caucasian that ran a store up in the Madison County area. And allegedly, he raped my great-grandmother. And from that activity, my grandfather was born. And my grandfather would then be a little mulatto boy, not having any daddy. He born in the late 1800s, and he would have had to fight his way up from that condition in the state of Mississippi, the worst state to grow up in at the time. See, everybody was trying to leave Mississippi. We used to tell jokes about the runaway slave that was trying to catch the train to get away from Mississippi. And he had been accused of whistling at a white woman. And he was on the train. He was running so fast, he caught up to the train and he jumped on the train. And then as he was running, this deer ran alongside of him and was running faster than him. And he looked at the deer and he said, "You must have whistled at a white woman too." And times were terrible back then. And so many people left here as fast as they can. We call it the Industrial Revolution. What I call it is running for your life revolution to get out of Mississippi during that time. And so we have many things to talk about in the way we were brought up. And we don't say that stuff with malice and with a chip on our shoulders. We have hatred for no man. That's not why we're talking about this. Actually, we're talking about it because it's a sense of pride. It's a sense of pride that we could overcome such a humble beginning, such a depth from where to start, and then rise above that and become a significant member of society and achieve at every level. So I have to tell you where you come from, and so that you can celebrate where you are today. And every generation's responsibility is to make it better for the next generation. Now, we're going to try to do that, but again, I need to stop here and recognize our sponsors because they play a tremendous role in what we have going on here today. So stay tuned for a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes. The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back for our last segment of this evening's show. We've talked about some things. We've talked about the ability to overachieve and to overcome. We've given you some history lessons. We kind of shared with you a little bit about how tough it was in Mississippi. But, you know, we were united. It was hard. Times were tough. We didn't get into town, but only on Saturdays. We had to create and grow everything that the family needed to survive on. The only thing that we could not make for ourselves was flour, sugar, even though we had molasses and sugar cane. You know, we did most of our sweetening of food with those ingredients. And so we learned how to sustain ourselves regardless of the conditions and the times. And I think we're going to have to learn how to sustain ourselves in these times under these conditions. Now, I hope it's not true. But if, in fact, many of these programs that exist today, such as WIC, such as SNAP, such as food stamps, such as subsidies. Now, let me make this perfectly clear. White folk in our state get more subsidies than black folk get in our state, but it's not portrayed that way. It's portrayed the way that, you know, African Americans are the beneficiary of all of the subsidies in America, but that's not true. We subsidize farmers. Many farmers are paid not to plant a crop. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine getting a check not to plant? Who thinks about that kind of stuff? And so when we look at where all of the benefits of social programs are going, the magnitude of the money is not spent on the poor, but it's spent on others. We're going to deal with these issues as we continue our show. I'm going to try and bring you relevant content about Mississippi, its history, and where we're going to go from here in the days to come. This has been a brief presentation. I want y'all to stay safe out there, and good evening.